Welcome to The Downside. My name is Gianmarco Soresi. I'm here with Russell J. Daniels.
Hi, Gianmarco.
Russell, where are you? Are you in San Francisco still?
No, I barely made it home. I'm home. Oh my God, flights delayed. Long travel. I mean, just that but I got home at 3:30 in the morning. Worked today. Basically, all I did today was work a full-time job, and every hour wipe my paralyzed dog's butthole, and clean shit from it.
When you're wiping, like, with a wet wipe?
Like a
Or your
nice,
bare hand?
a gentle wipe.
Does it feel this, like, do you have, you know how you put a tie on a kid? You have to, like, stand behind them to, like, put it on yourself. Do you have to put Ziggy behind you so you're, like, reaching backwards?
No, I'm
wiping
I'm
his-
getting in there. I'm looking at it. It's his poor butthole. It's been like, oh, it's brutal back there. I think because of he can't feel back there, but it's just coming out. The poop just comes out, and it comes out often, and so it's like.
Do you got like is there just a towel back there? You go back and you're like, oh
No, we
my
have
God.
like the pee pads, so you have to replace them each time. Stuff comes out. But you're wiping the butt, you're getting rid of the pads, you're replacing the pads every so often. Poop gets on the nice cushioned, like the dog bed. Then you got to wash that. I can't believe Nicole was doing this for over a week alone. I did it for like 7 hours today, and I was like, this is. I mean, actually, what's crazy about it is it's not that. I mean, truly, I got up 3 times over 7 hours and had to like do this. That's the truth. But it's poop. So it like I feel like all I smell is poop right now. Do you know what I mean? And I'm
Sure.
like clearing everything out. I'm taking it down to the garbage room. I'm flushing the things I can flush. But oh my God, this poor dog. I mean, he's doing well. Like it's night and day difference from when I left and now. But it's something.
We were talking about there was someone who was starting the podcast at the beginning, and it was just the idea of someone being to you like, "Hey, how's Hennessy doing?" And you said, "Oh, I've almost lost a second dog now."
Yeah, he like just started listening a month ago, and he's like, "Oh, he's back living in 2021." But we got our other dog
well,
too home just like an hour ago.
oh yeah,
He's
and
calm.
it's
He's right here. He's in his crate
Let's see
right
him.
now.
Hey buddy, how you doing?
Can you see him?
And you still don't know. Did you ask any more questions about like were they roughhousing and that's how he got injured? Like it just seems crazy
No,
that an injury occurred.
it would have been. It would have been. It would have been happening. Like, it wouldn't have been just from one thing. It would have been like, he already probably had these issues, but because he's a pit bull, he doesn't like. They don't really. They're pretty high tolerance for pain. So I think it probably was bothering him a long time, and then we just didn't know. And then something happened, and boom.
Well, let me give a little info for people because this is preceding an episode that Russell is not on. But we tried to mix it in for you. That's why we had Dallas last week, and then we got another one with Russell next week, and then another one without, and then I'm back in New York, so we're almost back to normal. We just finished our second Downside tour. This was of the West Coast. A big difference from the first tour. Every show sold out. We had some cool guests. We got Atsuko. We got Sal Volcano. We got a bunch of people, and it was great. Susan Rice, you're gonna love it. We actually when this comes out, we will have just put out. It's not the whole show we're putting on Patreon. Like there's, I do stand up at the beginning. We have a song at the end. So we want to save some stuff, but we're putting out like, sometimes 30, 40-minute live episodes. We're going to release some stuff publicly, a lot of clips, but you want to see the full thing. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. Russell owes veterinarians a lot of money.
I owe $13,000 to
$13,000
to veterinarians. We need the funds, folks. We need.
And you know what, Russell? For now on, I've been I only give Russell a couple bucks every month for the Patreon. You know what? You're getting half the Patreon now, buddy. You're getting half of it. So join the
Oh
Patreon.
wow.
Half of it goes to taking care of this dog, and it's a good cause.
Yeah.
And so literally, you're going to be getting 2 bonus episodes every month, and I'm pretty sure, sometimes I get ahead of myself, but we're going to be releasing like one of these live episodes every month. So you're going to get San Francisco, you're going to get Portland, you're going to get our upcoming one in Austin, which
Yeah.
is about to go on sale. You're going to get Burlington, Vermont. If you're in Burlington, go get those tickets with our buddy Douglas and our buddy Chris. It's going to be good.
And things are happening for the downside. We're having
We're taking meetings.
suddenly it's like it feels like a real thing. We're meetings and business things and emails.
And listen, we're not going to listen. We've both been on the bottom end of the entertainment. We've gone to agent meetings where we're like, "Hi, please, would you consider taking us?"
Yeah.
We're going in there, dick swinging,
Oh,
big dick swinging.
we've had meetings where the things that they say to you in those meetings where nothing's going to happen, and you both know nothing's going to happen. Now, this is not what's happening right now. We're having real meetings.
Yeah. We're having real meetings.
But when you have those meetings where you're like, not like, how did this happen? How did we both get tricked into coming to this? Who's this for?
And you're like, if they get fired, when you read in the trades that they got fired, you're like, yeah, good. There was nothing going on. We had a meeting, and it was for, I'll keep it as vague as I can. It was like a TV show, and again, it was like making a TV show, unless you're famous, it's a long way away. It's never going to happen. A lot of this is just to get to know you in case something happens, you blow up, you get famous, they know your name, you have a relationship. And we were talking about this potential TV show that would never get made, and we all know it in our hearts. And one of the people said, "Okay, so the brother character, do you see him more as like a guest star or a recur?" And we were like, "What the fuck are you talking?"
You're like, you're never making this TV show. Why would you ask that question?
So the wallpaper in the main character's bathroom, do you see it as like striped or like just one color? And you go, "What are you talking about? What are we doing here with our lives, our non-infinite lives?"
Yeah.
So we got some cool news coming up. I'm just weighing who's going to be the new co-host. But really liking Kristin Chirico.
I like Kristin.
Oh, she's great. And you're
great.
about to see her on this episode coming up with Stanzi Potenza. But join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. I two things before we wrap this up. Russell, is your story true? What happened at the airport? Your Instagram story? Tell us the story.
Yeah.
For people who missed it, what happened?
Okay, so I the hotel let me stay longer, which was very nice of them. And but then I was like out of things to do, and I went to a Starbucks for a little while in San Francisco, and it was a strange energy at that Starbucks. There was just weird things going on. I was trying to use the bathroom, and there was a guy in there for like so long, like half an hour, and they were like basically threatening to call the police if he didn't leave the bathroom. And and then I have to use it. So I'm like, what the hell is going on in there that I'm going to be walking into, So the most amazing
I like
thing
the police get there and you grab one of their guns. you say, get the fuck out of the bathroom right fucking now.
The most amazing thing is that finally, right before the police get there, he comes out and he goes, "Oh, all yours." Totally normal, like didn't look like disheveled, nothing, just seemed, but it was like, and then he just left, and he was like, no signs of nothing in there. I mean, I don't know what was going on in there, something bad, but there were no signs that anything was wrong. He just was like, all yours. Like he hadn't been, like the Starbucks employees hadn't been threatening him for the last half an hour. Anyways,
yeah.
So I wasn't welcome in the Starbucks. The Starbucks, I gotta get out of here. So I just went to the airport early, and I, had a meal there, sitting there having a meal, having a drink, and this older guy sits down next to me, and he kind of like sighed, like he sighed, and was like, "Ugh, this has been the trip from hell," and I go, "You and me both, brother." And then he turns to me and goes, I'm on the phone with my wife. He was not even charmed. He was like, he was so
He didn't
annoyed.
even smile. He didn't even smile. He was just like,
I'm on the phone with my
"You
wife."
idiot.
Like, he was like, you're interrupting. Oh man.
That's funny.
And then
That's
we just had
funny.
to like sit there next to each other, because it's crowded airport, restaurant, bar. Like then it's like, okay, well I'm not gonna talk to you again,
You should have gotten it back, get on the phone with your wife and start like, being like, what time's this flight leave now?
Yeah.
I'm on the phone with my wife, you fucking idiot. That's very funny.
Hey,
Well, I'm glad you made it back.
Tour was great.
Tour was great. We're going to definitely, next Patreon, which we're doing in person in New York, I'll be back. We're going to talk all about the tour, talk about all the things we could have done better. Because it's the downside, and that's how we do it. We'll talk nice about it for 2 minutes, and then all the weeds, our least favorite moments from all the live shows.
That'll be fun for the people that were there.
Yeah, our least favorite guests. There's one. We both know exactly who it is. Went really long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's really hard to remember the
You can't. You're like, there were a couple that I wasn't a big fan of. There was definitely there was one drunk lady. And then is that at that show, at that same show?
Yeah.
That had some in and out. But we got a lot of. It was great. We are actually meeting a musical director person right after this because we have a bigger idea for our next closing number, and I'm really excited about it. Already talking about what's next. So I wanted to say I did this podcast, John Goblicon, I think it's called, and it's like a comedian. He dresses like a goblin, and man, it's so brutal when I watched it back. Because sometimes I like to, see if I can get clips or whatever out of it. And they cut, like, my favorite parts of the podcast. And it really is it's an no one knows about the embarrassment except for me. But I know that they saw it and decided to cut it. And the two moments, one, they gave me tea bags. There was, like, a competition at the end, and I got a tea bag. And at some point I did what I thought was a very funny... I basically they didn't have hot water, so I put the tea in my mouth, and I did this whole like 5 minutes of just sucking on the tea bag, and I thought it was a really funny physical bit. Whole thing cut. Not a moment of it made it the podcast, and it reminded me. I once was at a summer camp where they had a radio, and you could go on and like be the DJ.
Yeah.
Every camper got a turn, and I was going through my skater boy phase. I was really into like something, and there was a guy running it, but campers would join him, and we got to pick a song, and I was into the song Power Man 3000, I think they were called. They were like a heavy metal band, kind of a parody, kind of real, and they had one popular song. And so I said, like, all right, everyone, instead of saying Power Man 5000, I said, give it up for PM 5K with Going to the Stars. And I just thought that would be cool. I learned that K meant 1,000, so I said PM 5K. And I watched this guy. Basically, it was not live. It was pre-recorded. So he, like, stopped it. I saw him rewind and then record again. And I said, oh, did you just record over what we just recorded? And he was like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we listened to it on the radio, and I was like, oh, he absolutely recorded over my whole part in front of me. And then gaslit me into being like, I saw him do it.
You'll never know. Yeah.
But the one part I was mad is, so this character, he's a goblin, he's green and whatever. And we started talking about Harry Potter, and they cut this whole thing. It made me so goddamn mad. Where again, it was fun, and they're great, and whatever. But it was, I said to him, like, are you offended that Jews get portrayed as goblins? Like, are you offended as a goblin that people associate you with Jews? And it was so funny.
That's funny.
And I'm Jewish, and I thought we're safe. and they cut it, and I was like, God damn it, that was the funniest part.
Yeah.
That was the part I left, and I was like, I told Tova, whenever I make an anti-Semitic joke, I run home and tell my Jewish girlfriend who's connected to the culture, I go, hey, listen to this new horrible thing I did today on a podcast.
That's really annoying because that's very funny. And also, yeah.
Yeah, it's, I was saying to someone today, and I think about it a lot, where I know some people, and we all have it to a degree, where sometimes they'll make a joke and they go, oh, I can't say that, or I can't do it on the podcast. We talk about this, which I think it's just like all comedians right now. And sometimes I go, no, that thing where you feel like nervous, that's actually where the funny is. That's where the funniest is.
Yeah.
And some people, and sometimes it's different topics. But I go, no, actually that feeling, that tingly feeling of nervousness, that's where the funny is. And if you move your bar too far to censoring that, you actually cut yourself off from the funniest parts of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Now, some people go too far. We were talking the other day about some people who I think we find very funny, and then they do something that you're like, you're kind of an asshole. And it's like, well, maybe, for them to be that funny, they have to go that far. And it's like, it's finding that. And we have friends.
But it's hard to come back from when you dip into that, like when you've gone too far. It's hard
too far
to reset with, like, because something's been broken.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to have, like, you got to deal with the anxiety. We all lived through a very particular time on the internet where people got in big trouble. And sometimes people do get in trouble, but it's also shifted to a degree. And you just have to kind of like decide, I'm sure in their mind they said, Jewish stuff is very sensitive, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's safe because I think the parody of it all is clear. And if some people get annoyed, but the bottom line is I just think that's like every comedian. We have some comedians who listen. I think that is like part of the conversation you have to have with yourself. And sometimes I have some comedy friends where that's what I want to tell them. It's like the thing that you think is edgy, that's actually where you're funniest. And that's where you gotta walk the balance beam. Yeah. If your balance beam is too wide, it's not that impressive that you dance on it,
Yeah.
So, and I think we do that in this episode you're about to hear. I have to talk to Paige because we talk about suicide a lot. We talk about cutting, and I got to look up the rules because
you put something in the beginning, just being like, hey, this is a pro suicide episode.
I said if Russell doesn't start flying to LA for more of these episodes, I'm gonna I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
I'm glad you made it back. We should say a special blessing to our producer Paige. Listen, we sold out this tour, not enough for everyone to get money, and Paige joined, and let me tell you, the difference between Paige being there and Paige not. It's felt. Yeah. It's felt. You'll see in our Chicago show. I'm a little more frazzled. A little, definitely the cues all over the place. And so we're very thankful that Paige joined us.
Was weird. I mean, that was the first stop, but yeah.
So thank you, Russell. Thank you to everyone who came. Fans of stand-up who started listening, please keep listening. Tell your friends. We are growing. We are moving. And I really love I love, the guy who comes with a sign that says, I'm here for Russell. Yeah. It's a funny joke. And I'm grateful for that funny, joke. That's I love it feels so cool. I was talking with someone on my social media call. We were talking from someone who works at Tumblr. And one of the things I love about Tumblr is you have fans who enjoy the world. And I think longtime listeners of the podcast, you understand the world. You understand kind of our guests, our callbacks. And I think it just is cool. And it's cool to meet you in person. And I promise as this grows, we like the live. We enjoy the live.
We love it.
That's why we're determined to film it and put it out there, because we really want to keep doing it and make it a thing. So thank you to everyone who came.
I would do it 5 days a week on TBS, even.
And we'll pivot towards full anti-Trump Colbert style.
Yeah,
just going like, can you believe
I'm ready
it?
to go. I'm ready to do it.
What was he thinking about at this meeting? Hamburgers?
Oh,
Well, I love you, buddy. I'm gonna be on another call with you in literally 6 minutes. We've spent more time together than me and my girlfriend this last year.
Hey, and also just remember, join the Patreon. $13,000 needs to be raised as soon as possible.
So we need $26,000 on the Patreon to help Russell out, and the rest is going to go to my trip in Greece with Tova this June.
Thank you.
I love you, buddy. I'm glad Ziggy is doing okay. Shout out to Nicole for holding down the poop fort, and also suggesting an idea for our Burlington, Vermont musical number, which we're going to be talking about soon. So see you guys there. Love you so much. Love you, buddy. Glad you're safe home. Can't wait to be home. Bye, guys.
Bye.
You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.
I have a lot of weapon jewelry. I have knives, guillotines.
Did you say a guillotine?
Is it a functioning guillotine?
No.
Okay.
No,
What, a guillotine? What, a ring?
Earrings, yeah.
Now, if they were functioning, that would be exciting.
That would be would be fun. Yeah, I have really crazy earrings. So I have what was it? I just bought
Please, yeah. Listen, this is
a functioning
I did this
lottery.
last week,
Functioning. What is it? What are the things called? The slot machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does do the slots.
as earrings.
Yeah. I have a claw
When it matches,
machine.
do you win money?
You just win the satisfaction.
The
satisfaction
more.
of those little, the
Pockets of joy.
yeah, like you need some sort of stimulation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of those.
Fidget cube.
Fidget spinners.
Yeah.
Oh, I was into fidget spinners past when it was cool for a week. I mean, it was cool for a second.
They stopped
It was.
making
I
them.
remember my ex got one, and it was fun. We would still fight, but yeah.
Would they bring them out during the fight to be
Can
like,
you
I need
imagine?
this right now?
Yeah.
There was a period where like every VidCon, everybody had like they were just like have this.
Oh,
Studio
VidCon is
71
gonna be the
fidget
place for
spinner.
a fidget toy.
What's
yeah.
it? VidCon?
Yeah.
That
What's
feels
that?
very.
Vid-
for
oh.
like content creators.
Yeah.
God, I haven't reached that level yet of content creation
Well,
yeah.
to get the VidCon invite.
I went to I was invited as like a speaker sort of last year. I was involved in it was like an anime thing. It was like a competition. And that was
Anime competition, so
Yeah.
an athletic event.
Well, oh no.
Uh,
For anime, it was more about like it was like, oh, who would you I forget what it was. It was like, oh, they had to guess an anime character. And so you would pick an anime character out of a bowl and you would read it and you would be like and then they would ask you questions like, oh, it was like guess who.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was anime guess who. So they have to guess like an anime character. And somehow I won that.
Are you a big anime?
Oh, I'm a big anime. Oh yeah, I have yeah.
Oh,
This.
I don't know who it is.
And this guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hunter x Hunter?
No. This is.
I'm older than you, but I was here during the anime boom in America. I was here during the first Shonen Jump.
You can't be
Oh.
that much older than me.
I'm much older than you.
Are you-
How old do you think I am?
I feel like you're like max 35.
That's very sweet. I am actually 36.
Okay. Oh well, I was very close.
Well, you said max. You could have said it if I was 29. You'd say, "See." No, I was. So how old are you? You're 24.
Oh wow.
26.
29.
29.
So we're not
Okay.
that far off.
It's 7 years is a big difference.
I-
I was getting bootlegs of Dragon Ball GT in Japanese off of eBay and reading the subtitles. I was yeah.
Yeah. No. I remember.
We didn't have Crunchyroll.
Oh, there
or
was no
streaming apps.
Crunchyroll. I remember, yeah, you would have to like, I would watch them on YouTube. Like people would put pieces into episodes. They would be like, here's this. And then you would have to be like, search for part 2 of whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, some of those early days of trying to stream, you'd go to so many websites, so many fake pop-up ads.
Oh, I know. And all the viruses. It's the same day. It was like the days of like when LimeWire was a thing, like before we had like Spotify.
For me, it was Napster. But I remember LimeWire, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Napster was, all the videos were in black and white. It was brutal. Are you an anime?
No.
Are
You know
an
who's not anime? Most of my listeners. But
I know.
no, it's tough because I have this weird pocket of anime that I was into. I have this is kind of how I just got it. I got into things intensely for a couple years and then left, and so I have this weird nostalgia. But I'm not part of the current.
I went through a gap.
Yeah,
A lot of the new stuff is really great.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I'm in the worst where I'm like just looking at new Dragon Ball clips, not even full episodes, and shaking my head and going, "This doesn't make any sense," and then going, "It's not as good," and it's a weird, but like it's all my Twitter. I cannot tell you the amount of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah.
Compared to the amount that it's part of my life in any other way, shape, or form, that I just watch like old little clips, 30 seconds, and something in my brain is comforted by it.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I'm not ingesting. I'm not learning. I'm not growing.
It would be like honestly like the fans because I make anime content every now and then. Oh my god, they're ravenous. So when I make an anime video, I'm like if I'm doing a voice because I love to do anime voices.
Sure.
And
You use the word ravenous. I'd use the term nothing else to do. Not a free time. No job to get to. Now, are they cool? Are they cool? Are they self-effacing? Like what I just said? It's
just
an
called you
exaggeration
jobless.
for comedic effect. I don't mean it cruelly, but like, are they cool or are they like, hey, this jerk said anime is a little corny?
Oh well. That both. They're both.
There's
it depends.
Both. It's big enough that there's the whole.
Because I get comments and I'm like, yeah, no, this guy's a loser. I'll be like,
Sure.
okay, jobless, sick. You're funny. You're cool. And then because there's just every fan base is gonna have some weirdness.
I'm waiting
and
for
some...
the toxic downsiders. I want them. I know. Unfortunately, I think the kind of toxic it's gonna be.
Alt-right.
I don't think so.
Oh, no.
I think honestly more alt-left. I don't mean that term, but I mean like it's going to be like it's like the fact that we're not wearing masks right now in this session.
Yeah.
Like that's my version. It's not going to be the alt-right guys left.
They're gonna clip
the
this
10th
and be
time
like
I talked to
anti-masker. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
that's what the fan will be, and I'd rather have that fan than the other fan. I'd rather have that wear a mask than separate the races.
You'd rather
you'd
rather people who are always a little bit mad at you than people who are mad at like what you stand for.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, I get more annoyed, I think, by the nitpicky sort of, oh, you didn't do this and that means
Sure.
But yet I am always very confused when I get some comments. It's usually like I see them a lot on YouTube about someone being like, I don't agree with you on the politics. We couldn't be more different, but God, you're funny and I love your videos. And I'm like, what are you?
But that's
what
good.
Are you doing
but
here?
it's good. You want people outside your. We live in echo chambers. We're online.
No, I do agree. Like, if you stay in your bubble, like I have had people that have been like this, like whatever video you like, I'll make if it's political. They'll be like, you know what, I kind of changed my mind about this thing now, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. If I'm reaching people that are thinking about what I'm saying when I'm making
all the
a
time,
political...
I get so many messages from Zionists. Thank you for opening my eyes. I didn't know, and now I go, wow, that's incredible. The flexibility of that's what you got to admire about Zionists, the flexibility of their positions. Kristin, any anime in your life?
Absolutely not.
None at all.
Wow.
No, well, okay.
Pokemon?
Listen, I played Pokemon Go in 2016. I'm not dead.
Those
I
were
grew
the
up with
days.
Sailor Moon. I was 13.
Okay.
I was 13 in 1997.
Wow.
You know, not really. Like, usually when people start talking about anime, I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
like,
My dad walked in. I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! which is it's about like a card game, and it's
Yeah, that I know.
and my dad, I think it was Kaiba, his like main rival, picked up his deck and was like, "Let's duel!" And my dad started laughing in a deep way, not to be cruel, but
No.
how embarrassing this card he was. And then he started, and he wasn't like a bully like this, but he was just so moved to insult. He was just like, "Let's duel!" He kept doing it, and I was like,
yeah.
it was like, oh wow, this is corny. I'm from musical theater. The word is corny, or some people don't want to engage, and others we get the joy of having fun.
I
with our
get
lives.
it. I will say Dragon Ball Z was my mom banned Dragon Ball Z because in my house because I drew a picture of my older sister's head exploding at some point.
Whose head? No one's head exploded on Dragon Ball. It's pretty
No,
tame.
that just came from the heart.
Sure, but did you blame it on Dragon Ball Z? Did your mom say, "What the fuck is this"?
I think she just knew that we were watching it and probably saw that there was some violence and was like made the correlation because I don't think I even thought about this. I was like, I just fucking hate her right now. So yeah, we couldn't watch Dragon Ball Z, but we could watch Sex in the City. So.
Sure.
They did catch them all there.
When your mom sees the picture of your sister doing it, you'll be like, "Oh my god, okay, back to the Dragon Ball Z."
Yeah, because then I went into kindergarten being
My god,
like,
is your sister
"Oh,
engaging
honey,
in piss play? Jesus
what you
Christ.
need is a rock hard cock."
Welcome to the downside. This is a place I was thinking about. I always in my free time I just reflect on how to describe my podcast. It's a fruitful life filled with self-reflection, and this is a show. Obviously, be negative, complain. But the other thing, because I think about it when I listen to some other people's podcasts. Sometimes I listen to other podcasts for a guest coming on. We're not inspirational, and I have no intention to be inspirational. The inspiration, a lot of that stuff has got to come from inside yourself. I see YouTube clips, and it's like someone's going to tell you like how to succeed. Their thought. Well, listen, they don't want you to succeed, because if you succeeded, they'd have to succeed more. No one's looking out for each other. We're all just blowing off steam, and they're making that video because they know you're going to go, oh, maybe this is the secret, and then you'll watch it, and they get money from the ads, and it doesn't affect any of you. This is a place to be honest and complain. And thank you for being here, Stanzi Potenza, and guest co-host, because I'm in LA, Kristin Cherico, forgive me.
Yeah.
I was so excited to have you back. This is your second time co-hosting.
Yes.
Any lessons learned from the first time?
Honestly, I mean, you love an audience, I think. You
Not uncovering new territory.
No.
The audience at home is going, oh my God.
What? No, I think it's really funny to watch you do podcasts where you're just with one other person versus podcasts where you have like two people who can like both laugh at you at the same time. Your energy level is higher.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Do you sometimes I wonder, because I'm so bad at socializing, I'm like, if there was a third person watching me socialize, would I activate? Do you go, ew? Do you go, ugh? Or do you go, look at this interesting creature who, and you talk.
Yeah.
Now, if you came here and there was no mic for you,
Look,
and I had you sitting there.
You just cut to me like drinking a Diet Coke joyously. Like, no, I think honestly, I think it's because you're more comfortable. I think that you enjoy the fact that other people are enjoying you, and so you feel better. That's my.
I feel affirmed. Certainly,
Yes.
I need constant affirmation in a way that, like, look, you could try to fight it, but that's the being that I am, and so I always feel more talented, smarter and I think it's because I just need someone going like, yeah, that's right, yeah, that's right, yeah, that's right, and then I can move. That's my theory.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a good theory.
But you also, I think if we did a one-on-one, it would still work because you have an energy of generosity. I have a look at me energy. And I don't even mean that. I tell people, if you have a taping and it's a small audience, don't invite me. I'm not a good laugher. And I'm not a good laugher because I'm going, fuck you. The same way I don't remember names. People go, because you're too narcissistic. No, it's not. I just don't remember names. It's just, I don't laugh. Maybe it's my parents' fault. Maybe it's my childhood. I don't know. I'm not going there going, I'm not going to laugh. I can't. And I had to do a show recently at UCB. They sat me in the row on the stage, and I was like, they're gonna see me. And now I gotta. Even when I did clowning, I had to do an exercise. You had to do a fake laugh, and it was the hardest acting struggle of my life.
I was in an audience for Cirque du Soleil, and they there's a show called Mad Apple. It's like one of their adult Cirque shows.
Yes.
And they have like a bunch of different acts that come on. So like it'll be like crazy acrobats, and then a comedian will come on and do stand up for like a little bit. And I've seen it twice. The second time, I was laughing at whatever he was saying. He points to my side of the audience. He goes, "Whose laugh is that?" And everyone's like, "It's this girl." And I was like, "I didn't know." He goes, "Your laugh sounds like a factory, manufactured laugh." He was like, "You should just be saying laughter." And I was like, "Oh, shit." I was like, "Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, I guess my..."
Do you think it was authentic?
Yeah.
And is it because you're pushing it to be polite?
Probably a little bit of that. I mean, I do laugh, but I have had people be like, "Oh wow, your laugh." When I think of laughter, this is the sound I think of. Like you would find it on a. You're like, I need a sound effect of laughter.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
YouTube,
yeah.
And yeah.
Ha ha ha.
You have a very good laugh. I'm waiting to talk so I can crack this Coke.
Yeah. You just crack that sucker.
You don't
open,
have to
yeah.
crack it into the microphone though. You could have done it over here. You did it
commercial
right
for-
here, like we were doing a little SFX.
I'm sorry.
There was a woman in my college. She laughed like this. And she would go, "Ooh, ooh." And it was one of these things where I feel like everyone inside was like, surely that's not real. But it wasn't. To question it was offensive in a way. Like you were saying, why can't someone in a wheelchair walk? It was like that was her condition. But you'd go to shows, and you'd go, well, this can't stand.
No. Sounds like the ghost of a dog.
I was gonna say the ghost of a bird. So
If that woman was if I was doing one of my tapings of my special and someone in the audience was, "Ooh," we'd have to do something.
You have to drop down and address it. You can't just let it go.
But would I have to kick her out? I mean, that's a lawsuit on your hands.
What, discriminating against people with weird ghost laughs?
Yeah, because they'll say it's because of this. I bet you in the DSMV right now there's weird ghost laugh. Stage 4, and it's you can't.
You'd have to try to coax something out of her by doing crowd work, get her to sort of say something controversial.
Yeah, I'd have to offend her.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
she
yeah.
stops laughing, and then I'd have to say something real awful that night. and if people were they'd make a video online and be like, "You don't have the context. I was trying to make a woman sad."
Again.
Yeah.
One quick update I got. I talk about my dad and his infidelity sometimes, and my mom then calls me. She hears it and she corrects the record. She's like, "No, it's always worse than I thought." But my dad, I've talked about before. He doesn't fly. He stopped flying kind of randomly. Used to fly all the time. We went to Europe, all these things. And my mom said her theory is that he was on one flight where there was thunder or something scary where they thought they could die for a bit. And she says your dad was on a flight with the best friend of a woman he was dating. And she thinks the reason my dad stopped flying is because he convinced himself somehow God was trying to punish him for cheating. Now, my dad doesn't talk about God in this way. It seems a little poetic. But my dad used to fly, and then he didn't. There was an incident, and my mom thinks he thought it was divine. So, update for the listeners.
Wow.
Now, Stanzi, you know about divorce.
I do. I love that you know that.
Listen. It's out there.
Have I talked? I must have talked about my parents' divorce somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Do I talk about it a lot? And do I black out? when I do
Stanzi,
it?
I am in no position to judge someone on how much they talk about their parents' divorce.
What is this? What's
You
going
could have
on
a
here?
podcast called Divorce the Divorce Show. where we talk about my divorced parents, and I'd have to go, okay, game recognized game.
Yeah.
You saw the dollar signs in this too, and we leaned in.
When did your parents get divorced?
My parents got divorced. So, okay, here's the problem. On stage, I say 7 days. It's a little bit more poetic. They got divorced when I was 6 months old.
Okay,
Wow.
yeah.
It's just not as clean. 7 days old. I'm believing my own lie now. I'm like, so 7 days. And then bad custody. My mom remarried my dad's former lawyer. I don't think it was as scandalous. I don't think it was like,
Your
you know,
mom,
my dad's former lawyer.
Not his divorce lawyer.
Not his divorce lawyer. Again, on stage though, divorce lawyer.
My mom also dated her lawyer.
I mean,
her divorce lawyer.
I mean, look, it's a guy. He can protect you. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. You see a lawyer in action, and you go, "Oh, they're gonna take care of me." You're going through a divorce. You're in court, getting custody. You're like,
it's a real Sex and the City move.
Yeah.
How did your parents' marriage end? You were 5.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We're kind of twinning right now.
Oh, yes?
Yeah. Yeah, there was some infidelity.
Did you know about it when you were 5?
Yeah.
See, that's what's different. I didn't. My father just said, "Oh, she." When like a girlfriend or stepmom left, it was always like, she had a tough childhood, and she's just. He wouldn't go. He wouldn't. It was the evolved version. It was the early origins of what people would call the male feminist, where it was like, it wasn't like she's crazy.
Yeah.
It was like, that bitch is crazy. It was like, that bitch came from a tough childhood.
Oh yeah.
And
It's affirming.
Yeah.
but like it was always presented like they had a lot of issues to deal with, and we should respect that, as opposed to I slept with her friend.
Yeah. It's always
I tricked
Not
her.
only did she come
bitch
from a
had a
tough
hard
childhood,
life.
and you cheated on her on top of that.
She came from a tough adulthood.
Yeah.
It's funny though when you hear about it, when you kind of have the narrative of your parents' divorce as a child versus when you talk to them about it when you're an adult. Because I was on the phone, I was like on a FaceTime with my dad like a year ago or 2 years ago actually, and he was like, we just kind of got into it. Like he was home alone, we had the time, and then he was kind of like, oh yeah, well this is kind of what went down. And I was like, it was not. I was like, I didn't know all of this happened.
Of course.
And he was like, Jesus. I was like, what the fuck? And then his current wife, my stepmom and my baby sister walked through the door. He was like, yeah, we'll talk about this more over like a beer next time I see you. And I was like, all right.
It's hard. Do you feel like you want to know the full story? Like for me, my mom's told me whenever I'm staying at my mom's, sometimes we'll hit this thing if I come home after a show and she's had some wine, and we just like we'll have like a deep conversation, and it talks about where I really like to hear about her as a human being and not my mom, like that kind of. And sometimes it's like, well, do I want to hear even more bad things about my dad, or do I want even more context? Does this change anything?
I think the context really helped because I only really had my mom's version of things, and like, a lot of it was just her. It was a very upsetting time for
Yeah.
And so I only had her version of the story, and then I got my dad's version of the story, and I think I always painted my dad to be like the bad guy, but
Sure.
then with the full context, because the infidelity didn't actually occur like in their marriage. It had occurred before they had gotten married, I believe. Yeah. But then it came to light like after, I don't know, years of
how many
marriage.
years?
Oh my God! It had to have been like, if I was 5, my sister was 10. It had to have been between like 10 to 15 years.
That's insane.
That's the nightmare.
Wait,
Oh my
okay.
God.
So I think the only real timeline question I have is, did the cheating happen early in the relationship or like a night before the wedding?
Oh no, I don't think they were even engaged at that point.
Oh,
so
if you're
it
not
was-
engaged,
I
come
mean,
on.
legal.
There's at least a statute of limitations.
Come on, man.
There's a 2-kid statute of limitations. Wow.
Yeah. I think now that I have the full context, and also I know, as an adult, I know both of them, and as an adult, and I'm like, I mean, you would drive me fucking crazy in one way, and you would drive me fucking crazy in another way. So yeah, stay away.
I think there's just also like you either forgive your parents or you full on cut them out in a big way. And it's so like, I think one of the unfair things about divorce as a kid is that like your parent gets to go, no, I hate your father now. And you're like, well, that's not an option for me. I'm seeing them. I mean, some people don't, but like that's, I think, one of the bigger conflicts where, if they can't be friends or they can't figure out something, that's where it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Where things just break down.
I am happy that they do. They get along now. Like, it's been years.
Would you get dinner with them together?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's wild.
They will. My mom and dad will invite each other over to each other's houses.
That's amazing.
She loves my half sister, my baby sister. She loves her, spoils her, buys her all types of like gifts and stuff for the holidays. Like,
wow.
Has babysat my half sister before. Like my mom, her boyfriend that she's they've been together for like over a decade. So like they'll absolutely meet up with each other and stuff. And it's
like a happy ending.
It is. It is. It's the best case scenario that can come out of divorce, I think.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. But it wasn't always like that.
It wasn't always like that.
So
yeah.
okay, so you were born near Chicago, close?
Boston.
Boston. Got it mixed up Boston, Chicago. I thought it was so smooth. It's so embarrassing in my head. I said, "Wow, you remembered this on you, and you didn't even look at the paper." I truly did. I truly was like, "Wow, I'm on fire," and then I got it completely wrong.
Look at you, rock star. Yeah.
I knew it was not a major city though, but close too.
Whoa.
Okay, so 5. I mean, you really were only conscious for a couple years of marriage.
Yeah.
Your mom does theater.
Yeah.
And you were in the shows when you were young. Mm-hmm. How young?
It was the divorce that actually got her back into theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Because she wanted to get some money.
Yeah. Theater. If you want a quick buck. Community theater.
Theater and money laundering are like traditionally the two ways that you get rich.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one or the other. Yeah.
It does make sense though to have to go to a community thing.
Yeah, she needed an outlet. She was a stay-at-home mom, so she after the divorce, it was like I have to get back into the workforce. She didn't go to college or anything, so she was like I have to find a job, and also like my life just fell apart. I need something.
Were you going back and forth right out the gate?
It was. I mean, my dad also had to figure out, like, I need to find a place to live and stuff. So he was kind of like, we were pretty much with her. We would get him on the weekends. Like, we would get him he would get us on the weekends, yeah.
Here's a TV show pitch. It might be a little offensive. So it's a kid who has joint custody.
Yeah.
But their dad's homeless. So whenever they go to their dad's house, they are homeless too. And then they go to mom's and they live a full on. And sometimes he asks the mom, my dad's homeless. I don't want to be homeless on the weekends. And the mom's like, I can't pay any more money. I think it's a good idea.
I think that's a thing that happens already in America.
No.
Also perfect.
No, no one has joint custody and one of them has a house and says to their kid, you're homeless Thursday, Fridays.
I mean, I think it depends on what homeless is.
There's people who have no homes, whose dads have no homes, but they don't have joint custody, it's jarringly different. That's my premise.
Right.
One of them's upper middle class, and one of them has no home.
I mean, technically, my dad did have a home for a little bit. Technically, my dad, he had lost. I think he had like a sandwich shop for a while with his sister. It was called the Brown Bag Deli. And
that sounds like one of those like you go and it's like elevated deli food. Was it?
It was good stuff. I remember because we would eat there all the time.
Sure.
And we would just be there kind of while he was working. And
is he throwing you like you want some roast beef? Tosses it.
He's like, yeah, kid, and we'd just be on the floor. He's like, salami, boom, and we'd have to crawl out.
Yeah.
Now back to work. Yeah. No, but he had that for a while, and then when they had to close down the shop, like he couldn't afford like rent and stuff. So I'm just throwing out your business, but he had to move back in with his mom for a while. So when we would see him on the weekends, he was living in the basement. And then we would.
But you'd stay there.
Yeah.
Where would you stay? In the basement
in the
with
basement,
him?
yeah. So there was like a mattress on the floor, as men do, and then there was like a futon situation. So like me and my 3 sisters would be like all living down there.
Now, isn't there something? Are you close with your dad?
Yeah.
Is it? But they're like I probably the reason I have so much resentment towards my dad is we were so close. But like I imagine you were closer to your father at that age because other people were not sharing a room, going to sleep. Like because of that living arrangement, you grew up together. I mean, you're just together so much more than I think like a traditional household where it would be like, well, you know, you wouldn't be in the same room necessarily. Like there is something about the fucked up nature does bring you this closer relationship.
Yeah,
I'm sure you would have preferred to have your own room.
Yeah. And also, you know, living in the situation with my grandma, my Grammy, my Grampy, and then my Uncle Jeff that also was living there.
And they all shared one bed in the living room with their feet out like this, collecting Willy Wonka's chocolate.
Yeah, it was great. I had 2 cousins there too that were also kind of like in and out of there. So it was like everyone was there. And so that was kind of like, it was weird in a way, but it was like also kind of like, gang's all here.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about it.
It's a mix, man. I grew up in a house where everyone had their own room, and in you know, there was money. They had money, and I look back and I go, all that money did was separated us in a way that, like, I don't know. It's just hard to figure out the best way to live.
Oh
life.
yeah.
I think all the money in the world does not matter if you psychologically hobble your children so badly that they can't do anything with their adulthoods.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
But also, money can buy food and other things. So
Yeah.
Oh, it sure can. Oh yeah.
But that's the shame of it is like,
Yeah.
oh, you got this good food. You couldn't have also made the other things good. You
yeah.
couldn't figure it out a little more.
Well, our parents are from a generation of people who like don't understand things like emotional neglect. Like to them, it's like there's only one kind of neglect, and it's you don't feed your child.
Yeah.
And so I think like that informs, I think, a lot of our parents' confusion about why we're so mad at them all the time about the things that they do, because they're just like, but I followed the law, which is I had to feed you even though I fucking hate you.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the quiet part was very loud.
That I every time I hear about people with families like that, I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad because my parents were so supportive. And we had like, there was fucked up shit going on and stuff, but like, oh my God, like when I was like, I want to do theater as a job, they were like, yeah, that makes so much sense.
Sure.
You should do that. And when people are like, oh yeah, my parents like aren't supportive in this way, I'm like, oh my God, really? That's
Yeah.
yeah.
I couldn't even get my parents to see the shows, let alone be in them.
God.
Oh yeah,
I said, Dad, please be in the Christmas Carol with me. And he said, son, that's a big commitment.
Well, you should have had a couple ghosts visit him, and maybe he would have changed his mind.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah, if I saw Jacob Marley coming out of a fucking trunk in my room or something, I would change my ways.
Okay, here's my pitch. New show. It's Christmas Carol. It's with my dad. The ghosts don't sway him at all. And by the end, the ghosts are like, "Are you serious, dude? We showed you." And he's just like, "Yeah, no, it's too much work."
We just have to
And then
keep
he
bringing out
slits
ghosts.
Tiny Tim's throat
Then he slits
on the,
Tiny Tim-
on the
Yeah.
stage, yeah.
So you lived there right outside Boston,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and your dad moved when you were 10.
Yeah, when I was I was 11 and he moved to Philadelphia.
How was that? Was that a tough time?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I don't want my dad to move out of state. But you know, Philly was cool. We would go like once a month. He would visit Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
And then that like we would go every now and then and stay for like a week in Philly.
Yeah.
So for like vacations, we would go.
May I ask? You had a near-death experience.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
10?
11. It was
11.
the same weekend actually that he moved,
Oh, okay.
which was so he didn't feel great about that. Yeah.
How close were you to the brink?
So
This was at the ocean, right?
yeah, so I got caught in like a riptide. When I was 11, I was at it was a private beach. It was my mom's coworker's friend's house, and they invited us over. And my sister and I had so much fun. We like stayed the night. They had a granddaughter our age, so I was like, okay, cool. We'll stay the night. My mom was like, I am gonna go home, but you guys can stay here and it'll be fine. We were like, cool.
At the beach house?
Yeah.
Okay, right on this private. I mean, it sounds amazing.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
For a bit.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. And so yeah, I was in the water, and I didn't really realize at first that I was getting pulled away, and then all of a sudden I was kind of like, oh, my feet aren't really touching the sand anymore, and I was like, oh, I think I can. And then I looked at my sister and the granddaughter, and I was like, can you guys help kind of pull me back? And then they were like, oh, I can't go out that far, because like none of us were like great swimmers. We were
So they saw you and they just said, oh, that's a little too scary to go
they were like,
further.
hey. Yeah, they were like, all right. I mean, they were kind of, we were all kind of
Was it chill? Like had you not realized, you're like, hey,
it was chill at first,
little
and then the granddaughter got kind of emotional because she was like, I can't go out that far, and I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, I just was starting to get pulled out, and I was
my
like
heart's beating.
starting to I was just trying to, because I wasn't a great swimmer, so I'm just trying to like paddle as much as I can to keep my head above the water, and I screamed for help. The grandfather, his name was Jim, sees me. He immediately dives in the water, but he's also struggling to sort of like, I don't even think he took off his raincoat. Like he just jumped in. But he was also almost 70. So he's like an older man.
Oh
he's
my
trying
God.
to swim towards me. And it's taking him a bit to get to me just because like the waves also the weather had changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of like it became more stormy and stuff. So he's like trying to get to me. I'm like swimming and I'm trying to keep my head above the water, but my arms are like burning and getting like numb because I'm just like moving them as fast as I can.
10 or 11.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I'm
God.
like going under and I'm coming back up, and I just kind of I saw my sister who was standing in the water and she's like sobbing, and so I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna die essentially.
You fully had the thought.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna die, and yeah, I just kind of was like, I'm gonna hold out for as long as I can, but I also like I knew that I couldn't do it.
Did you know that this man was coming for you? Like he was in there, and in the thought, did you go, oh, maybe he fixes this though?
I mean, maybe. When he got to me, I looked at him and I said, I'm gonna die, and he was like, no, you're not. And so he gets me, and he's starting to pull me closer to the shore, but he's also not doing great. Like he's also not I mean, the water was very intense, so we're both going under and coming back up, and we're like slowly getting closer to the shore, but also not close enough that I felt like safe. And like, yeah, he's going under too, so I know that he's also struggling.
How is he holding you, like one arm around you?
Yeah, like I have like my arm around his like shoulder, and we're kind of like
God,
going like
swimming
that.
with someone else, it's like how do you do it?
I know, it was like so crazy. And at this point his wife had seen what was happening, so she comes out and she immediately like jumps in the water too, and she's coming towards me. She's very calm about this whole situation. Eventually she gets close enough that she grabs me and she just pulls me back, and all of a sudden I like move forward a little bit and I'm like touching the bottom and I'm like, oh my God. And so all of a sudden I was like, I'm not dead. And that was like a really intense feeling, but they're still in the water and he's not doing great. And
How far back, or like, I mean,
they were relatively close, but then but there's still a riptide, and so they're getting closer, but also kind of getting further away. And so they're both still in the water, and they start yelling for help. And thankfully, there's a dude in a kayak that just like is like near them, so he starts coming closer to them, and so he helps them actually get back onto the beach.
Oh.
And so that was like it was so lucky that like it just happened that like there was another person there that could help them.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what I didn't know at the time
Horrifying.
was that Jim, while he was pulling me back to the shore, was having a heart attack.
Oh my God.
So he had a heart attack and then he like passed away very shortly after. And I
How
was
shortly
like,
after?
within an hour or two. 'Cause I don't.
Oh my God! Did you see him on?
I saw them doing CPR on the beach. And yeah, I saw him doing CPR. I saw them doing CPR on the beach. I saw his wife doing CPR. The kayak guy called the police, so like the ambulance came. They were so far away from, it was like they were further away from it, like it would take a while for an ambulance to get there, and that was like one of the reasons why like it took them longer to get to where they were. I don't know when exactly he passed away. I just know that when I got home, I was like sitting on the couch and my mom came downstairs and like let me know that he passed away. So I was like, wow. Like it was like, I don't even think I knew what to think. I was just so, I must have been just like in a daze for a while.
If I had been your mom or anyone close to you, I'd call. I've been in situations where I call my therapist. Once I had a friend who was like suicidal, and I like called my therapist to be like, "Hey, I don't know if you're the person I call to like talk to about strategy.
Yeah.
What did you need?" Like looking back in that moment, it sounds so unimaginable.
Yeah, it was funny because my mom was actually working for a therapist office at the time, and they did have a lady like come over and she was doing therapy, but it was like doing therapy. She was like she had like a magic wand that she was like a fairy wand that she was using to like, and I
no.
was just kind of like. I was like,
Did
what
you
the
know
fuck?
at that moment, did you say, wow, I'm irrevocably changed from this?
Oh yeah.
Or were you?
yeah.
I mean-
I was completely different after that. I started like going into the following year, I started wearing like all black.
Yeah.
I went through like real like mental turmoil, absolutely. Like I was a lot more I was like talking back to my mom a lot. I was like I was engaging in like not great activity. Like, I became more of a delinquent after all of this happened.
Did you drink? Did you pot? Do you want me to get you water?
Oh, I'm good. I
You're
don't
good?
know why I'm like, I
Oh,
have like a water
no
here.
worries. No,
I'm
just
like,
making sure. I felt like I should go get up.
Oh yeah,
But,
I know.
Were you going into substances yet?
When I was 13, so I waited a year. I started to, and like maybe like trigger warning because I don't want to upset anyone, but like I was doing like self-harm when I was like 12. So I started like engaging in that.
Where did you learn? Did you just invent it on your own, or did you like Google? Like, how did you
Kids
find
were
out?
doing it. It was like a thing. It was like, oh yeah, that girl, she's emo and she, does this. And I was like, oh, I'm like, why are people doing that? Oh, are they sad? I'm sad.
And
Yeah.
This is one of those internet things. I'll look it up. But I am curious, like, what would you do? Like, all I know is you just cut, like, you'd have a razor blade and...
I would break apart. Don't do this, by the way.
Yeah, don't... What did I say at the beginning of this? Not an inspirational podcast.
Very. I'm trying to de-influence right now.
I do feel like this with social media where I'm like, listen, I'll look to make sure I don't get in trouble for it, but people will look up these things. The idea of like we're not going to even speak of it unless someone get the idea. I don't buy it as a concept. It sounds corporate and protecty in a way that has nothing to do with humanity and more to do with corporate interests not getting sued. But so you would...
I would break apart razors, like shaving razors.
Yeah.
So I would like take the plastic off, and then I would have like 4 tiny little razors, and I would use those.
And was the intention like, were you doing? To me, the pain, the idea of like wanting to numb makes sense in theory. The pain, I go like truly. It's not like I'm like I'm not sad. I'm just like, that sounds awful.
Oh no, if you don't like pain, you're gonna be like, I'm not no more. I'm a very pain tolerant person. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Sure.
But I was having like my mental health was just awful. I would have like obviously I had post-traumatic stress disorder. And I was having like post-traumatic stress dreams. Like, when you're going to sleep and you feel like you're falling and then you jolt awake.
Yes.
I would do that, and then I would feel the sensation of floating on waves sometimes, and I would go like, oh my God. And so like I was just in such a bad mental health space that like I was like, who even cares if I like hurt myself, really?
Yeah.
And so I was doing that for a while, and then
But the intention was never to end your life?
no, it wasn't. But I stopped because I had I went too far. I emoed a little too close to the sun. And I had to get like 18 stitches.
Oh my God.
My leg when I was 18.
Did they know when you got to the hospital right away, oh, this is what this is?
They were like, it happened after I got into a fight with my mom, so I'm just like, I have this like crazy leg injury.
They're like, it spells mom.
Yeah. They were like, I was like, it's so weird. I dropped a plate.
I dropped a sign that said "Wow," and it's
nuts. And I'm sitting there with my mom, who I just got into this huge fucking fight with, and she was, and they're like, do you think that she has any intention of hurting herself or others? And at the time, like, my mom and I had talked about this like a little bit beforehand. I go, Mom, I'm starring in 3 shows right now. I can't go to a mental hospital. And she was like, no, I know. You're starring in 3 shows right now. Like, we're both theater people. So I was like, let's be chill about this.
Did you tell your mom, you say, hey, did she know? She knew.
Oh, yeah.
Did you say, hey, Mom, I wasn't trying to kill myself. I do this.
When she came up, we had just gotten into a fight. I go upstairs. I do that. I go, Mom, and she my sisters were kind of like, Mom, I don't even think you should go up there because you guys should. Like, is she gonna punch you in the face or something? She comes upstairs. I'm in a pool of blood. She's like,
God.
She's like, I'm like, I didn't mean to do that. And then she like sits down. She puts like a towel on my leg, and then she's kind of like, we got to start talking about things. Like, we have to be more.
So was there any part of you that was like, I won the argument?
Oh my God, I won the argument. Oh my God, I won the argument.
Because I can so relate to having a fight, and like the tactic of wanting to win is like, look what you've done to me. Look what you've done to me. You are clearly wrong because I'm feeling so bad. I mean, that's what I think it's a very powerful tactic. But when someone calls your bluff, you lose that power fast.
Do you think your mom made the right choice? Like, do you think that like?
Oh yeah, no, I did very well in those shows. So I was like.
Do you think your mom knew that, like? Because I do think there is a difference between you did that on accident. I do think there's a difference. Again, if someone's cutting, someone should help. But there is a difference between cutting and being suicidal. I mean, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
There
I definitely like. I didn't want to die. Like I always like, but I was definitely like struggling, and when it had gotten to that point, I was kind of like, if I don't stop, that's probably what, like, the direction that this is heading in. And so I had like enough kind of I had like enough awareness and stuff to be like, I have to stop doing this.
Yeah.
And find another way to deal with everything that I was going through. And it wasn't until finding a therapist was like very difficult because a lot of people were like, I don't take this insurance or whatever. Like,
Nightmare.
so I didn't get going with therapy until I was in college. So it was like maybe 2 years after that incident had happened.
Yeah.
I finally started going to therapy. But after that happened, I was like, I can't do that anymore because that was crazy. So I
So,
pulled
but have
back,
you always
yeah.
had these guardrails in? Like, would you describe yourself as like a functional person? Like, it sounds like not everyone when they hit that moment go, okay, no more of this.
It's true, yeah.
Like, there is a degree of like you, even with feeling all these things, like you can lock into structure or lock into a kind of emotional discipline.
I tried. Like I think sort of yes. But once I really started doing like the work in therapy,
Yeah.
I found it to be like I was like, this is what I really needed. Like this was the real structure. Because I would have these like insane panic attacks, and I would just like feel like I was losing my mind. And
If
so,
you could
yeah,
go back, would you give the money to get some therapy sooner? Like, do you think that was the best recourse back then?
I should have been in therapy right after that incident.
Of course,
my
next
mom
day.
tried,
Yeah.
and then when she originally pulled me out of it, what she said was that she didn't think it was helping. Which I was like, one session, you're not gonna fix all the problems. But
Yeah.
as I got older, what I realized was that she didn't want to tell me that she couldn't afford it financially, which
Sure.
I was like, she definitely
You know, she
couldn't.
should see a therapist about that.
I know.
There was something about I had a friend who was in a bad place, and like dealing with health insurance is a nightmare on one hand, but
yeah.
like when it's someone who's in a deep state of crisis in their life and they are struggling to get out of bed in the morning, and then on top of that they have to deal with health insurance. It's like it feels like the system wants you to go away. Like it is so fucking insane and brutal. And she'd be at they'd be at like a home, and then the thing would expire, and then it's like, well, so now they don't have a home anymore.
Oh yeah.
And they're in the midst of like trying to. It's ugh.
Yeah.
But God, even people who are like skeptical about therapy, and as I think therapy gets watered down by things like BetterHelp, I get nervous about like the art of therapy. Just it being dismissible and mixed with self-help people in a way that it becomes no training.
I think a lot of people think that like therapists it's like going to the mechanic.
Yes.
Where like you go and it's like,
Yeah.
I just gotta get my oil changed, and it's like, no, the problem is like you need to get your oil changed every Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
for the foreseeable future because you have a leak. It's
Yeah.
like I think parents think of it like that too, where they're just like, I'm gonna go to one session and then I'm fixed, and it's like,
Yeah.
And also,
it
not
might
every mechanic is built the same.
Yeah.
there are a lot of bad mechanics.
There's a lot of bad. It's a real struggle to let people know like it's gonna take some time. I think there should be like speed dating for therapy, because I feel like truly like you
Yeah.
could sit down and be like, no, oh, they're for me it'd be like, oh, they're religious. I'd be like, I'm not gonna be vulnerable with this person. I judge them, or like I think I like that.
That is a good idea, because I always tell people, I'm like, people will be like, I tried therapy and I didn't like it. I'm like, yeah, but you have to
That's
find
like going
a
on one
person-
date and going, I'm never having sex.
Yeah. I guess I'm celibate, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I agree, but there just has to be, the problem is with insurance and everything else. It's just like I lucked out with we stopped seeing each other, but I just lucked out. I had bad ones as a kid. But what I was saying is that even people who are like skeptical about therapy, it's like, okay, well then what about the girl who just almost drowned and then the person saving her died? And I think they'd have to go, well, we need someone to be able to speak to that. I'd be like, oh, you go talk to her. And they'll go, oh shit, okay, yeah, someone who's
Yeah.
it's just God. So how do you reflect on that now? Like, do you, especially since, not that you've commoditized it, but you
Yeah.
talk about it in our work, it becomes work. we all talk
Yeah.
about like our different traumas in work, and sometimes it's like, is that a way of you can't even touch it anymore?
It's interesting. I know I reflect on sort of the evolution of like how I'm able to talk about it. When it first happened, I wouldn't talk about it. Like I couldn't. And people were coming over like my house and stuff and being like, "What happened? We heard about this crazy thing that happened," because they also like wrote like a local like news article about it and stuff too. And so like
Did you read it? You like, oh.
yeah.
Would people ever like hug you? Like a family, like, or like someone who goes, "Oh, hey, how you doing?"
That was probably happening.
I had a
Yeah.
kid in my high school whose dad died, and it was, it was shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And like my dad, who I just don't think emotionally he's mature, but he saw him there at the reception after or something, and just like said, "Hey," and gave him like a hug in a way where I was like, "You are a weird older man to this boy."
Yeah.
But you mean well. I think in that moment meant well, certainly. But like what do you do? So how did
Yeah.
what do you wish people wouldn't have done, or what was like annoying to you?
Oh God, it was just so. Yeah, I don't even know if it's specifically about that time, but I know that like ever since I started talking about it and like especially online, like when I started to gain followers and stuff, and then like the first few times I like mentioned this thing, like a lot of people made it religious, and I hated
Sure,
that. They
sure.
were like, this was God looking out for you. He was your guardian angel sent down by the heavens, and that was God saving you. And I was like, no, that was a man from Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Oh, of course, and he
Yeah.
died. It's the same thing where they say like God protected Trump, and it's like, and then he put the bullet in the firefighter. That's what he chose.
Yeah.
He didn't choose just a squirrel.
Yeah.
But it's especially when there's a death with it. I feel like it even rings more hollow.
Yeah.
It really
It
does.
sounds like someone saying, like, well, being God isn't an exact science, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, he's God.
But then they also if you like people like to make other people's trauma like about them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so then they like
It's, I
want
got
you
caught in
to-
an undertow once too. Scary stuff. It was fine. It worked out fine. But
I knew a
but
guy
it was
once
scary for a
that, yeah.
second. Yeah.
But they want to sort of it's like they take what that story or something, and then they want you to sort of like they want you to be the perfect victim. So they want you to react like they want you to be like a person that's like very gracious about like everything in life, and like I'm like a comedian, and I also
Yeah.
will make like fucked up jokes and stuff, and like I like dark humor, and I like I'm like, and I talk about doing drugs, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, I'm not like a perfect person. I'm not gonna like, you hear this story about me and you're like, that's a crazy thing that happened. I don't feel like I need to be a motivational speaker about it.
Yeah.
Even though I that experience forever changed me, and I'm very grateful to him. And I'll never forget him, and I always will speak about like him and his family in a very positive light.
Is that is it like was that a part of the process of like were you like, oh, I need to honor him in some way, or like learn about
my first
him?
tattoo I got was dedicated to him.
That's a tattoo.
And it's also
That's a tattoo.
it's covering the scar from that one time.
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Yeah.
In a way, it was all worth it for what a
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
artistic piece. That's incredible. There should be tattoos when they mean something. That's amazing.
I know, and I did the thing that everyone says when you first start getting tattoos. It's like the first one, you're like, this is so meaningful. And then like my other ones are like
Segue.
hot anime guys.
Bart Simpson taking a piss,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
over a different scar, and you're like, it's kind of funny. It dribbles off the
Like,
scar.
well, this is from a man who sacrificed his life saving me, and this guy is if he was real, I would definitely want to fuck him.
Wow. That's just it's a lot. You let me just check the time. Okay, wait a second. I was listening to another podcast, and I do think you don't drive, right?
I don't know.
And I you have a good reason for not driving,
Yes.
unlike me.
Oh,
It's just
you
because
don't drive.
I mean I have a license, but it's like it is a flaw in the system. I
Mm.
haven't. I mean I would die if I got in a car right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And those Waymos. Let me tell you something. I couldn't fit in my voice practice today, my singing practice. It's tough to fit it in. I don't know why I'm pursuing this again. But I said, ooh, if I could be in a Waymo, I'd be doing scales the whole goddamn ride.
Why
I almost
couldn't
took
you?
one here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I almost
It's not
did.
in the area of everywhere that I've been.
They're around here. It would have taken longer for it to get here. So I was like,
Yes.
today I'll do it.
What were you
But-
saying? Why didn't I do it in the regular
Yeah,
Uber?
why didn't you? Well, no, that's not what I was gonna say.
Oh, I thought that's what you were going to say. And I
It's
was
like,
like,
why didn't you take a Waymo?
oh, it's just like, it goes like, oh, you have to walk 7 minutes here. It's not all of, if you go to San Francisco, where I was recently, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're everywhere. And I know there's like consequences I have not taken the time to think about with all, especially my actor friends here and their Uber jobs. But man, do I want those Waymos so bad.
Yeah, I can't wait to
I
get
think that's
my
going to be
first
my
one.
turn. You know, sometimes like a leftist, you know, they buy a too big a house or you know, whatever, and people go, For me,
It's gonna be Waymo.
it's Waymos.
Yeah.
It's
I can't
Waymos.
wait. When I get to, I'm doing like my little evil hands right now. I'm
Waymo
like,
breaks
"Ooh,
apart the whole
yeah."
leftist side. we all become regular D Democrats after the Waymo.
Oh yeah.
But you don't drive because you sometimes get seizures or you got seizures.
Yeah, I haven't. So yeah, I was.
Sorry for being aggressive with my questions. Your life it's so fascinating, and I know,
Thank you.
and I know based on talking to you that I'm like, I've made the mistake before
Yeah.
where I go, all right, welcome Emily to the bud. So you got your boobs chopped off. Tell me, and it's
Yeah.
like, it's just like it's a little too.
Did you phrase it just like that too? Where you're just like, did you get to keep him in a jar afterwards?
It's really hard as an interviewer where it's like,
So I heard you did the
So-
whole 1 2.
it's like so your guest grew up a little bit out of Boston. They had a near-death experience and have seizures. And I'm like, okay, we'll talk about that first part like really, really quickly. So
No,
Boston.
I'll get into it with anyone. I'm like, yeah, I'll tell you my story, kid.
But you can't drive ever.
I technically I could. So getting your license with when you have epilepsy or any other like seizure disorder, it's sort of state dependent. Like the rules will change. So in California, I could get my license. And I could have gotten it in Massachusetts too. I think it's like if you have like 3 seizures while you have your license or something in certain places, like they'll take your license away for good.
They base it on the baseball system.
The three
Yeah.
strike rule.
They were like, "You're out, kid."
Wait, but does it
Yeah.
matter what happens during the first 2 seizures? Like, what if during the first seizure you hit like a school bus?
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be like once?
For me, it's second.
Oh,
for me,
yeah.
it's second.
So-
First is like maybe. I'm not talking out of pocket here. What do you think it should be?
Yeah.
I don't know, because everyone's different when it comes to their seizures. Like some have I have the it used to be called grand mal seizures. Now it's clonic tonic.
Clonic tonic?
Yeah, they changed it because
Clonic tonic. They rhymed it? That doesn't sound serious.
well, so grand mal means
The
big evil.
The big evil.
And so they were like, "Oh, that doesn't sound nice." What
What is it called again? Tonic bonic?
Tonic clonic.
Tonic clonic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you with a tonic clonic?
Like, they didn't want to hurt the seizure's feelings, and so they were like, we got to rename it to something that feels
Now
a
it's
little...
like, well, that's not badass at all. I usually still refer to them as grand mal.
Did you
'cause
get
I'm
an
like,
email? Are you
people
part of a
know.
list so you knew? Or were you embarrassed? You
They were
brought
like,
it up and they're
"Hey."
like, actually.
So we're changing it. Yeah.
I think everyone should be on like a listserv for whatever mental illness they deal with. So if you have OCD, you get the update.
Yeah.
The psychologist say, hey, we call it this now. We split up this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Tonic, clonic, but we can just call him Grandma because that's what most people know it as. And I don't like to be like, well, actually.
Is there anyone out there who is actually about Grand Mal?
Yes, I was.
I-
Greg
And I bet you they're listeners of The Downside. Can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Greg Grunberg. He had me on his podcast a while back, like when I first moved here. And it's about like he talks to a lot of actors and stuff. But his son also has epilepsy, so he talks about epilepsy a lot on the podcast, and so he like brings people on with epilepsy. So like we talked about, obviously we were like acting, but also seizures.
Sure.
Yeah. So there are like people that know a lot about epilepsy and stuff, and so they'll be like, oh, it's called this now,
Yeah.
Sort of how like everyone knows that like cilantro, like not liking cilantro is like a genetic thing because you learn that in like 10th grade biology.
Sure, my girlfriend has it, so I don't think it's real, but I can appreciate what you're saying. So is it tied to an underlying condition, or is it?
Maybe, yeah, I have epilepsy.
Okay.
But yeah, when I first started having seizures, my first one happened when I was like 15, and I was getting ready for school, and all I remember was like, I was changing into, I think it was like Spirit Week, and I was like getting ready for my day and I was putting on my outfit. I was like putting pants on, and then all of a sudden I was like, I'm gonna sit down. And then I woke up, and my whole family, like my sisters and my mom, were all sitting around me in chairs. I like wake up. I feel like I like, for me, I'm like, I just took a nap or something.
Really? You feel like kind of
Oh no, the first one, yes. Every time after that, it's been a nightmare.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The first one I had, I kind of came to, and I'm like looking around, and I'm like, what? And they were like, they're like looking at me, and they're like, are you okay? And I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, this is the third time we've had this conversation. And I was like, what?
Oh,
I was so confused. And they go,
no.
we called an ambulance. And I was like, why? And they were like, you were foaming at the mouth, like slumped over in the chair. And I was like, I feel fine. Paramedics come in. They're asking me all these questions. Apparently, I get all of them wrong. And it's like, what day of the week is it?
And were you doing it with that same attitude? Tuesday.
Kind of, yeah. I was like, yeah, like
Nixon.
Duh. Well, actually, the only question I got right was like, they were like, who's the president? And I was like, Obama. And they were like, okay, like, yeah.
Man, I guess her liberal's still intact.
I was like, yeah, I'm not going to forget the first black president. You're not going to get me, okay? I'm not getting
seizures,
canceled
I'm not
today.
racist.
Okay, so at this point, at this age, I mean, we were just like, Jesus, did you still believe in God at this point?
I never believed in God.
You never believed in
yeah.
God? Not once?
No, we were raised that way.
Oh.
Yeah. When I went into kindergarten, like the first, like I was in kindergarten, I was sitting at a table with a bunch of other kids, and one of them goes, raise your hand if you believe in God. And I was like,
Who did this?
I don't know, like.
These schools. Pushing their atheist agenda
I
on
was
the
like,
kids.
what? It was like
Everyone raising their hand, laugh at them. Kindergarten.
Yeah.
That's wild.
A kid said this?
Yeah, kids said that. And so I was like, everyone raised their hand, so I was just like, yes, me as well. I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. And so I went home and I told my older sister about it.
You sound like Stewie as a kindergartner. You had these complex thoughts. Okay, I guess to fit in with the group, religion is not the opioid of the masses.
Oh yeah, you know me, I'm Jesus pilled. So I like tell my older sister about it, and she tells my mom, like a narc, and then my mom brings me into her bedroom and she goes, all right, here's the situation. And she like is like, this is God. This is what religion is. I don't believe in it. You can if you want. That's the end of the story. And then I was like, all right, cool. I guess I'm not.
You had the sex talk, but for God.
Yeah.
When you tell your kid there's no God.
Well, it's, the other kids are talking to each other about them on the playground, so you have to
Yeah.
get there before, you know.
I think it would make the birds and the bees conversation a lot easier. I'd be like, so dying. Let's talk about sex.
And so yeah, I never. We were never baptized. We never went. Yeah, we never. Yeah, we were
So
just
really, at
raised that way.
15, you have no. I think I believed in God enough. 15, that if I then start getting seizures, I go, fuck you, God. Are you fucking serious? Did you? Like when you find that out, I think if you could very quickly spiral and go, oh, I'm never gonna be able to do this. I'm never gonna be able to do that. Like, did you know they would come back? Were you surprised when they
No,
did?
It was really weird because like I basically spent that whole year of my like freshman year of high school in and out of the hospital because they were doing all these tests because they didn't know I had epilepsy. They just knew like I had a seizure. But I had to do all these tests to like figure out because they had to rule out like a brain tumor. So I had to get like an MRI, CAT scan. I had a electroencephalogram, also known as an EEG, where they stick a bunch of wires on your head.
Yeah.
You know, but I would have to get sleep deprived so that they could get accurate information from like my brain waves.
Did you have to do a treadmill?
I never did the treadmill. They would just sleep deprive me. But they always talked about it. It was always looming. They were like, "Oh, we might bring in a bike."
I did. I did the treadmill. I did the treadmill, and I thought, because I was doing Barry's boot camp at the time, which had a lot of treadmill, and I thought I was gonna like be impressive. Like, I thought they'd be like, well, it doesn't go any higher.
You tried to win the test?
I thought they could, well, this one doesn't go any higher. You pass, but like the goal is for you to lose or to give up or to be like,
Yeah.
I'm done. And man, I didn't feel like they could have been like, wow, whew, that was fast.
I've never seen a kid run that fast.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know about your heart, but your legs are great shape. That would have been nice. So yeah, you didn't have to do that.
No.
Did they find out epilepsy right away?
No, oh my God. I didn't get officially diagnosed until I was like 20.
Oh my! So how many seizures did you? How many
A lot.
overall?
Oh my God, I have no idea. I know that between my freshman year of high school, I basically went a little bit over a year, maybe a year and a half. I went a year and a half without having one.
Uh-huh.
So everyone was kind of like, okay, she probably just had one, and then it was like one and done. And then I had another one, and then ever since that seizure, I essentially had one every 6 months, and we tried different medications and stuff, and all of them made me feel terrible. So I was like, I think I'm just gonna raw dog it for a while and not take any medication.
Would you tell new people? If you went on a date, if you were in class, would you say, "Hey, everyone, I get seizures sometimes. If I do this, don't do anything
No.
weird."
Because I only would have them, at least for a while, like I would only have them in the morning. So it was basically like I would wake up, and in between the first probably 30 minutes of me waking up, it would be like I will either have one or I won't.
Oh, that's a stressful way to start the day.
Yeah, it was. But at least I knew it was kind of like, well, it seems to be timing out that like every 6 months this was happening. So I was kind of like, every 6 months, like I can kind of try to deal with this.
God.
Until my freshman year of college. It was all my freshman years, Jesus. Freshman year of college, I had one every month. And so it was just like, it was a nightmare.
Who found you in that case? Your roommate?
I commuted to school, so it was like,
Okay.
it was either my mom or my younger sister, or sometimes I would have them alone. And so then I would wake up and I would be in this weird state of like, and also waking up from a seizure is very scary. It's called postictal, and it's like your whole brain is like rebooting.
Yeah.
And so when you come to, it's like, I don't know who I am. I don't know who anyone around me is.
And you feel scared because of it.
Yeah, like you can't, like everything coming out of your mouth isn't English. Like it's not, you're not speaking correctly, and then everything that people are saying to you doesn't sound like words.
Yeah.
And so, and I just assume that everyone around me is trying to kill me. It's like there's like a looming presence, and I am in danger. And then all of a sudden you start to like get everything back, and you're like, oh wow, okay, like I'm fine. But I remember looking at my mom after the last one that I had that year, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I need to go and see a new neurologist and try to get on
Yeah.
medication. So I found this wonderful woman, Dr. Catherine True at Mass General Hospital in Boston. She was my neurologist for a long time, and she like found a medication that like worked for me for a while. And then I had another seizure. I went like 3 years, I think, 3 or 4 years without having one, which was great. And then in 2019, I had one, which was like not great. And so then we were like, okay, well, clearly the medication I'm on isn't working.
Yeah.
Because they didn't completely go away. Like I would still have auras, which are seizures that haven't generalized to the rest of your brain yet. So I would have like these sort of like almost seizures.
Wow.
And be like, oh, I might have a seizure right now. I might, and then they would go away. And I wouldn't like convulse. But then I had like a actual convulsive like seizure. So then I went and had I got admitted to the epilepsy monitoring unit. They kept me there for about 10 days to basically do the like a 10-day EEG.
10 days.
10 days, awful, terrible.
But you would go and have your day and then go back for sleep?
I was there.
You were there?
And yet 10 days and you can't really leave your bed. So
Oh
like, yeah.
my God.
Yeah, and you have to have someone like anytime I had to use the bathroom, they had to bring a nurse in to like bring me
What year was
in.
you did this?
This was end of 2019.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then imagine COVID happened. And you're like, oh, this would have been the perfect time. Oh my God.
I know, missed opportunity.
You're like, we started on February 1st. I got out. I went back in. What the fuck? Oh, 10 days. And was it useful? Did they learn something?
Yeah, it was the first time that they were able to catch a seizure of mine, like on not camera, but like just in the scans, because the one seizure that I had while I was there happened while I was in the bathroom. And I'm like, that is I was like the last time, like they have a camera there. They like are hoping that so they basically just had to get
They have a camera in the bathroom?
No, but they have a camera in the like room.
The room, yeah.
So I was fine. I was not.
You have a seizure, you have to get off the toilet, throw yourself in. Study, please.
Luckily, I was like not in a embarrassing position.
Okay.
I was brushing my teeth, and I had and they also have like a sound thing that goes off anytime they're like, your brain is doing something a little bit weird, and then so my nurse was outside the door. She's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Have my toothbrush in my hand. I start to feel it, and I'm like, and I wake up in bed. It's like crazy.
But so the electrodes are on you for it, or did they have to put it on?
Yeah.
So
It's
they were
on
still
for 10 days.
because
So
they wouldn't take it
yeah.
off for any. Did you shower with it?
You can't shower.
You do like a.
You have to do a
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Because they go, if we miss the seizure.
Oh yeah, they need it the whole time. So because they're capturing everything. So like you can technically walk around your room, but they want you in bed pretty much the entire time.
Yeah.
And so really it's just you're leaving to use you're moving over to use the bathroom, and then you're coming right back in bed. And then like a few days, like every other day, they're sleep depriving you. So you're up until midnight, and then they would wake you up around like 5 or 6. And it's like every time you're like dozing off, if you start nodding off, they're watching you on the camera. So a nurse will come in and be like, "Hey, yeah,
no.
let's yeah." It was awful.
Wow,
Yeah.
but it helped give info.
Yeah. Because she was, my doctor was trying to convince like a team of other neurologists that I had a specific type of epilepsy that I think a lot of them didn't think that I had. They thought I had like generalized epilepsy, which is like all over your brain. And she thought I had right temporal lobe epilepsy, which is just like in a part of your brain.
Yeah.
And so based on their findings, she was like, I'm right, obviously. And so then she was like, let's try this medication and see if that works for you. And I've been on it ever since. And the only time I had a seizure was when my health insurance denied it when I moved to New York. And so I went a year off of it and had one seizure while I was off of it. And then I moved to LA very shortly after. While I was in LA, the first thing I did was get a new neurologist and obviously like start up my health insurance. So I've been on it ever since. And so it's been, I think I'm officially, of last week, 3 years seizure free again.
And just so Luigi knows which company.
Yeah. Oh man, I forget what it was. I forget what that health insurance company was called. Ooh, but I was mad. But I know that
Not
we
that
can.
mad. There have been people who have been madder than you. There are people who are mad and did something about it.
Could have been madder. Yeah.
I think it was just Luigi's a testament to how bad lower back pain can be.
Yes.
It's pretty
Yes.
bad. I got a breast reduction because of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God the CEO should have to pay for that because it saved him a life.
You know what's funny? They paid for that, but they didn't pay for my epilepsy medication. They were like,
Oh.
they were like, yeah, we could perk up those tits, but
Sure. Okay. Let's go into our next segment. This has got to stop.
This has got to stop.
We normally have music.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I didn't say it before. Join the Patreon. Patreon.com/downside. Bonus episodes. Me and Russell catching up. Kristin, do you have a This Gotta Stop?
Yes, I do. Men have got to stop hiring their male friends for things.
Okay.
That's got to stop. That has to. Yeah, I think you're confused and you know exactly
I'm
what
like,
I'm talking
I know
about.
what you mean.
I think that men don't do a really good job of maintain. Sorry,
I mean, this is what DEI was
Stop
all about.
hiring men. I'm sick of it.
Stop hiring men. No, I'm serious. I think. Listen, I knew it was really bad in entertainment. Obviously, like I've been around here for a while. I don't think I was prepared for how bad it was in comedy. It still floors me how bad it is in comedy. It's shocking to me that it's like, you guys just don't know any women. You can't bring any women on tour. You don't know a single fucking woman to put on your show. No.
How are you going to write jokes about them if they're not even around?
I think that men, especially married men, do a really bad job of maintaining friendships with women that they have no interest in and that they don't think they can get anything from. And I think that
Can I throw something out there?
what?
Can I throw something out there?
Yeah, what?
I'm not married, but I just got to imagine that sometimes the wife is like, I don't like this friend. I don't like the women friends.
But every single friend?
Listen, like everything in this world, it's complicated. But I'm just saying, like I can think, I'm sure there are some guys out there going, I wanted to have a female friend. And then every time I came home, they said, what did you do? And I had to account for every minute of the lunch we had together. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
I agree with your
sure.
overall point. I just feel like there are some married men out there going like, would you tell my wife, please?
Well,
Some.
I think
Not
that
all.
there's a wide
Not all men. Like I'm always saying, not all men.
That's actually the slogan for this podcast is not all men.
That was the original title. Not all.
Kind of, yeah.
Not all men.
I bet you that exists. I bet you that podcast exists.
Oh yeah.
And the last episode was 2022, but not all men, the podcast. I agree that I see certainly. I can think of some right-leaning comedians who have big networks, and I go, there's a lot of dudes. It's
Yeah.
a dude fest.
Yeah, like one time I was in a bar in like my early 20s and I was talking to two guys. It was like a professional thing. And at one point during the conversation, they just decided to stop talking to me. And so they kept having the conversation literally over my head.
Oh
They
my
kept
Brutal.
talking
Brutal.
to me over my head. And I was just, and it was clear. I was like, oh, you guys are not going to look down anymore. Because like, it was one extra step. So I just feel like, you know what? It just hire a woman. Hire a woman.
Hire a woman.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
Well, who did I ask to be the co-host today? Just saying.
Well, not all men.
Not all men.
Gianmarco's acting like someone is outside that door waiting to take you to jail.
This got to stop. Listen, I want to support the Girl Scouts. I need a healthy option. Okay, I don't want these cookies. They were exciting. It does nothing to me. A Thin Mint, please get out of here. I've tried what's the Levain. Once I had a Levain cookie, I said, yeah, Thin Mints aren't that great after all. Samoas aren't that great compared to a Levain cookie in New York. My point is, Girl Scout baby carrots. Girl Scout, with the watermelon in the cup, and I put some the spicy stuff
Tahini.
tahini. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's expand past the cookies, because and maybe I'll get cookies too. Maybe the cookie, I'll get one cookie and it'll go with the watermelon cup. But let's expand.
I mean, have you never been high before?
Nostalgia food to me, I get it. I think I like, instead it was too like nostalgia and food, if they connect, it's too powerful a force.
Oh, so you feel it's not, the cookies aren't good enough on their own. They don't stand on their own merits. Is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
If I'm gonna be eating cookies, let's really have a cookie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cookie that's like, oh, it's big, and it's I think they all have that kind of corporate, they call it some chemical that's like addictive, but it's like they all have that, like, it's too clean. I'd rather buy fresh muffins.
Yeah.
So I know it's not a popular opinion. People love Girl Scout cookies, but I'm not here to be a populist. I'm here to share the truth. Girl Scout baby carrots, Girl Scout unsalted almond nuts, Girl Scouts.
Yeah, like trail mix or something.
Yeah, that's my thought. What the Samoas? I'll have a bite.
Samoas are so good. I'm sorry.
I saw the Girl Scouts. Guess what I did? I just gave them $10. I said, "Get those fucking cookies away. I'm just donating."
You can buy that. You can buy.
I fucking did that because my sister was a Girl Scout. My youngest sister, she was doing the Girl Scouts for a while. My younger sister Nella, who's 2 years younger than me, we were having this like kind of like my sister's like, "Will you like sign up for Girl Scouts?" I'm like, "Of course, kid." Like, I'm like, "Yeah, I'll give you I'll like help you." She's like, "I really want to win this prize because if they get a certain amount,
Yeah.
you get it." And so I was like, "Yeah, like here's like $40, kid, go crazy." My sister's like, "Here's like $41," like she was doing that.
Wow.
We were both drunk at her Christmas party, so then we're going back and forth. We're like, "Hey, kid, come back over here, take more of my money." I left that Girl Scout, like I left that party being like I don't know, like $200.
$200?
Yeah, I bought $200 worth of Girl Scout cookies, and I was like, I don't need like all those.
What does that
cookies.
look like?
It looks like a huge box, like a box like this big, just packed with.
I
Girl
think you could have
Scouts.
imagined it if you wanted to.
No.
I was like,
I wanted to see.
What is it? What is it like? 8? So 8 boxes? Do they? Does this like a Megazord thing, and they become like a bigger box?
It had to have been like 25 boxes of Girl Scout cookies.
If she said
Power Rangers.
if she said $2 million, I'd go, what does that look like? 200 it's a lot of boxes, but it's just a stack.
I'm trying to be supportive.
No.
Marco.
It was a
Why you're
lot.
the ideal host. This is why I struggle.
It was a lot. No, it was like 20 to 25 boxes. It was
See,
like
now we know.
it was like a lot.
If you're budgeting at home,
What did it look like?
you
A horse? What did it look like? A clown?
Like a Trojan. They actually put them inside a Trojan horse and send it to your house.
Was it so big they had to put a vest over it too? Like it was a little Girl Scout?
I'll stop asking questions.
He was like, "Oh man, I wish I asked a man." A man wouldn't have asked that question. This is why I hire my male friends.
Men don't ask questions ever.
Oh, you got that right. Yeah. Oh god.
They'll be like, so how many boxes does that purchase you? That amount of money? What does it look like?
What does it look like? What does it feel like on your
Chris and I,
skin?
you're so great. Chris and I hope we're having a good vibe, and not when the cameras go off, you go, so what the fuck was that? So what the fuck was that? No, seriously, what the fuck was that? No, keep it rolling. Keep it. I want people to see.
I want people to know.
Oh god.
Do you ever this gotta stop, Stanzi?
You know what? Cave diving.
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I said this the other day. I woke up because you do a stand up, so like I don't know when I have like a bit, it usually comes to me at like 3 a.m, and I'm like,
Sure.
I gotta write this down now, and I'm pacing. I was thinking about cave diving because I get a lot of cave diving videos on my if
Like, and
algorithm.
it's like from their helmet, and you just see like dark rock.
It's usually a guy going, in 2011, this person went into a cave and never came out, like a true crime sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's
I don't like it.
freaks me out. And I was like, you know what? I think about cave diving in the same way that like pro-life people feel about abortion. Because I'm like, it has no impact on my life. It will never have an impact on my life because I'm against it. But I'm also, I think it's bad and we should ban it, and
Yeah.
no one should be allowed to do
It
it.
is a self-abortion, basically.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that if you're pro-life, you should also be anti-cave diving, because the fetuses that you're trying to save are putting themselves into little tunnels, little crevices in the earth, and they're dying there. So
You need to find the things you can agree on with pro-lifers. You know, you gotta
Yeah.
sit down and be like, hey, can we agree about one thing though?
yeah.
I wish I could do a Trump impression just so I could go like, they're making the fetuses cave dive.
They're making the fetuses cave dive.
They're going out. They're going right back in.
It's very nasty, these caves.
That's good.
I do Trump impressions all the time.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Can you give me the,
Kamala is in these little caves. They're hugely terrible, I'll tell you.
Huge and terrible. Very small.
Many people there. They're going into these
They're
caves
not
and-
huge.
And they're dying there. Very nasty. Very nasty, these cave divers.
That's good.
Thank you.
I agree with you 100%. I agree where people go like that's but here's my deeper thing. You can't talk about cutting yourself. Cave diving? Come on. You're kidding me. You're kidding me. Something's wrong.
I mean that's like, that's
But you should view, if someone says I want to go cave diving, you should go, what happened? Oh my God, did you guys break up? Like that means something bad happened. Someone
Yeah.
wants to go cave diving. I agree.
Same thing with mountain climbing too.
Mountain climbing.
No.
Like Everest, I'm like, you're trapped. First of all, there's just garbage everywhere, and the
bodies.
the
The
bodies,
bodies.
they stay there.
The bodies. Frankly, you leave the house, you're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah.
Stay in bed. Christ, people die all
What are
the
people
time.
doing?
You
They're-
walked on the street? You crossed the street?
What were you
No,
thinking?
mountains are. I mean, like,
What's
listen,
going on at home?
There is no God, but God doesn't want us there. Okay.
Yeah.
Like there are
Yeah.
some places where imaginary God doesn't want us to go.
Also, evolution. Evolution. We didn't evolve to live there. That's not where we evolved from. We didn't come from the deep inner caves. So leave it alone. We didn't.
Not everything is for us.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, that's for little, I don't know, little rodents and stuff, and that's their thing. But
It's
I'm
for
against
rodents.
it. I think it's bad. Don't do it. It distresses me.
Yeah, 100%. And if you're gonna do it and they died, let's just forget about them then. I don't need to make a video on TikTok about it.
Yeah, don't tell
They're
me
gone.
about it. Yeah,
It's sad, but like no need to unearth it for me.
yeah.
Okay, let's go on to our final segment. You better count your blessing. I'll start with blessing. So I had dinner with there's a comedian, one of my favorite stand-up comedians, and lucky enough to have a friendship of sorts. He's taking me out to dinner. He took me out to dinner for a second time, and on the way into the dinner, an Australian couple comes up to me and says, "Oh my God, Gianmarco Soresi, can I get a picture?" And I was
Wow.
like, "Oh man, so rarely is it timed so perfectly,
That is
so rarely." And the only thing they could have done better is if they had made him take the picture. If they had asked him to take the picture, that would have been the highest. We're right up there. I'm very grateful. But if it ever happens again, you see me with a really famous comedian, ask him to take the picture. Ooh, baby. That felt good. That felt
That's a
good.
good
And I
feeling.
promise not all my blessings are going to be fan to this, but this was a new, like, and it can be, honestly, I was reading some books, Station 11, this book, and this actor described it as embarrassing to be recognized with friends. And I do get that feeling of like your friend who knows you're a piece of shit has to like watch someone fawn over you. Someone on Twitter recently said, "I can tell from your videos you're great at parties." And I'm like, if I was a friend of mine and saw that, I'd want to reply, "No, he is not. No, he has not. It's actually been a fucking nightmare having to take care of this whiny asshole at parties. So it's embarrassing. But in front of someone who is in all levels far above me in a career, beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night, mates. I'll see you in Australia. If you guys ever hear this, free tickets. Any show. You each get 2. I'm telling you. Kristin, do you have a blessing?
I do have a blessing. I am grateful for beaded earrings. I think I have like a very large collection of beaded earrings.
Is it like do they make a square, or like how does it, what do you mean?
So like these are, I don't know, they're like an orange, I guess. Like but I have a large collection of beaded earrings made by like native artists.
Oh yes.
And I'm obviously like very lucky to be able to afford to have like a large collection of them. I feel like we talk about like beadwork as like being like good medicine, as being like something that like follows us like in a positive way.
Yeah.
And like it, one of the things I love about beaded earrings is that like you kind of take the artist with you. Like, it's like
Sure.
if you're in a situation where you feel nervous or scared, like, it's someone's work is with you, and like their ancestors are with you, and your ancestors are, it's like, it feels like every difficult social interaction becomes a group project. Is the best way I can describe it. And I think that like it has gotten me through a lot of parties recently where I've had to show up and I've known like 2 people, and I have to be and I gotta make it work. I gotta turn a paperclip into a house. I gotta like
Sure. Fortunately, I'm great at parties, but that sounds like a struggle for others. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And do you like, when you put them on, do you like know? Have you met the artist?
No, I mean, like, these are all artists I know on Instagram.
Oh,
so, like,
cool.
I know who makes all of my work, like, all the pieces I own. And, like, that's kind of part of it, is, like, you have a relationship with that person, and, like, what their work is like. You can espouse, like, their work,
Sure.
It's part of being in a community. But, like, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's made me feel better about myself in times where I would rather be at home. And, you relate to that, too, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, if you want to send any artists, we'll put it in the show notes. Happy to plug anyone.
Sounds like you work for Big Beaded Earring.
Honestly, I make a lot of beaded earring content because I'm just like, here's what I bought.
I love earrings. I have a crazy earring. I'm not wearing crazy earrings right now. But
you have a pair of cigarette earrings.
I sell those. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
They're so cute.
Thank you. I love that's like a staple to like my look is a lot of the time is the cigarette earrings, but like. Yeah, I have like I mentioned earlier, like the slot machine earrings, which are like the newest ones.
Cute.
And then the claw machine earrings and knives and stuff. It's just
I could get into it.
It's an easy way to telegraph.
I can see a world where I would get into earrings. It's just a lot to
I could
manage.
see it working for you.
Yeah. It's an easy way to telegraph. It's an easy way to telegraph your personality quickly.
Yeah,
But then
to
to me, I go, another choice to make in the morning.
Yeah.
Like I've got a little bit better at dressing, just basic colors, things that go together, and I don't know how, and I couldn't explain it, and I'm scared it could go away any second. But I'm like, to add another ingredient, I'm like, I don't know what looks corny. I don't know what looks like, and I especially think there would be a thing of like, I don't know what looks like I'm trying too hard. Tova, my girlfriend, I mean, she got me this. This is what are they? Forever bracelet.
Oh, one of
Yeah, and like
permanent jewelry.
I always worry it's gonna like bother me, but I'm totally used to this. And then she got me this, and I gotta tell you, I wouldn't have gone on my own. It felt too much. I thought it's always gonna be there, and I haven't taken it off in forever, and if I did, it would feel like a weird thing. So I get it.
Yeah.
He's like, should I do it?
I mean, are you Italian if you don't have like a chain that you like whip out?
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
know. It made me feel more Italian, because I go, I'm Jewish and I'm not really Italian. My dad's a liar. But like this made me a little more like, forget about it.
Yeah, you can't forget about it. It's always around your neck.
I was an anklet kid. I had anklets, and I would do like a school show, and I'd have to take off my like hemp Abercrombie anklet that was like, I'd have to cut it off, and it was like,
you had a straight anklet. For you said anklets, I was just like,
what?
I was curious as to what you meant by anklet.
I meant like, yeah, like I even like wore like, you go to Chuck E. Cheese and you get like a pink won. It was one of the prizes for 8 tickets or whatever.
Oh, okay.
If I wear an eat, I got to come up with a bit as a comedian. I have to explain to everyone this is what I'm doing now. I also want to do 2 colors for nail polish sometimes. Oh,
Why
there's a
can't
lot
you
of things
do
I want
that?
to do.
Yeah.
Because again, it's just like it's another thing of maintenance, and then it's chipped, and it doesn't match this, and then I'm stressed.
You're booing yourself before you're giving anyone
I
else the chance to boo
know.
yourself.
You're right.
You just gotta leap headfirst into it, you know?
Yeah.
Don't dip your toe in the water. All right, no temperature checks. Just go for
And then I
it.
could start selling merch earrings. Oh, I could sell merch.
You could
earrings.
sell,
Yeah,
honestly, you could sell
yeah.
merch nail polish.
Yeah.
These are free business
Possibilities
ideas,
are endless, I
Gianmarco.
know.
I look out in the audiences and I go, not a single person in a sports jersey here. Not one. Yep. A lot of Dragon Ball Z shirts. Do you have a blessing, Stanzi?
Yeah, you know, I feel very thankful for all of the doctors in Los Angeles that want to make you hot more than anything. When
Wow,
Wow.
I thought we were going to a sweet place, and then we'll still see. So yeah, tell me about this.
when I first moved to Los Angeles, I got my primary care doctor, who's like also one of the hottest men. Like, oh, he's so conventionally attractive, and then my dermatologist, and who are also they're like friends with each other too. So they'll be like, "Oh my god, how's this one doing? Oh my god, it's so good." They like, I like got here, and at the time I was like I was breaking out a lot. I'm like, oh my god, my skin's never been like fantastic, but my dermatologist, she like fixed that, like my fairy godmother.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like sitting with some friends like a few months ago, and I was like, yeah, I think I don't know why it came up, but I was like, yeah, I definitely got like hotter, I think, when I moved to LA. And they didn't try to do that thing that friends will do when they're like, or like anyone will do when they're like, no, oh my god, like you've always been beautiful.
Yeah.
They were just like, yeah. No, yeah. And I was like, wow, okay, thank you.
They were like, I deleted
Yeah.
every picture that we had together. Let's take some.
Poison.
I was like, oh my god, I feel like I'm glowing when I moved to LA. And I mean, that just happens, I guess, when you
Like,
live
yeah,
in
when you
LA.
walked in the room before, we go to someone turn off the lights.
They were like, who brought their dog? I love them though. They're funny, and because they're also all hot too, so they have the personality of like hot people. Which is just very like silly.
Very silly.
I went to get a I went to see my doctor the other day, my primary care doctor, and I asked him for a refill, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you need a reef." I was like, "You're a silly guy. Like, what is?" I'm like, "Are you even a doctor?" I think they just give like the
Because
hottest
if he
people
wasn't
they
as hot,
see.
someone would have been like, "Hey, that's annoying that you
yeah.
always do
Hot
that."
people get away with everything.
That's why there's a lot with
I
no
think
sense
they-
of humor. It's beautiful.
I think they go down Beverly Hills and they just find hot people and they hand them lab coats and they're like, "Do you want to hand
Sure.
out prescriptions to people?" They'll take them.
Sure. Well, Stanzi, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me at Stanzi Potenza everywhere. I am like really everywhere. Threads, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat,
Let's
TikTok.
compete. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you still posting on a Red Note?
Did you?
Are you still posting
did
on
you-
Red
My someone is on my behalf.
Oh God, I can't believe I called out for that because I was just thinking the other day. I was like, I haven't posted here in a while.
But you're not on Twitter.
I'm not on Twitter
You're
anymore.
not on Twitter.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
for
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I can't leave.
I know it was hard for me too, but I was like, I have to do this.
It's crazy the things that get on my newsfeed, given how much I like progressive politics. The things that still show up in my newsfeed that are like join the KKK paid ad, and you're like, how possibly? It is vile. It is poison. It is also what I think I realized the other day that you really like witness is like, you know, this is aside from anything. Zelensky, obviously, conservatives, Trump people, they want to paint him as looking like an idiot right now, especially. And so suddenly you see 10 different influencers share the same comedy video of Zelensky doing a dumb sketch when he's 24, and they all share it all at once, going like, can you believe this buffoon he's running a war? And you go, oh yeah, of course, you're all paid by different sponsors to post this exact video, and it works, and it sways the country, and it has effects, and you're seeing how the sausage is made so clearly while witnessing and living through the consequences of that sausage.
Yeah.
And it's just like the resentment and the wanting to reply, hey, you fucking piece of shit, which only would help them get it more out there. And the helplessness of witnessing the mass of misinformation and the existential feel of like, how am I being influenced too, just weighs on your soul.
Yeah, it's bad.
No.
So I
So
had
Red
to,
Note,
you know.
where there is no propaganda.
I am on Red Note.
I would
and you
love
can
to be
find me
sponsored
there.
by Red Note. Oh my God. Someone told me WhatsApp has social media functions now. And
Oh wow.
the Try
For
Guys
what?
have a streaming platform, and I want a show on it now. They're going to start doing stand-up specials. I don't know what's going on, and it's so exhausting, and it's so sapping, and we're doing it.
We're all doing it.
Three of
And I'm
us.
like,
Let
oh
me tell you,
God,
the
this is the worst.
seen you and Russell. Russell's put nothing on the internet. Absolutely nothing. Not bringing anyone new to the podcast.
He's riding.
I love you, buddy.
Yeah. He's
No, but-
riding
and
easy
guess
street.
what? Guess what? He's a lot happier than me. He's in New Orleans partying right now. I had 2
Oh,
podcast
sounds so
sessions
good.
today.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be here.
So people can find you. No, it's fine. It's fine. I invited you. What's your handle again for people to find you?
Stanzi Potenza. It's my first and last name. It's very, very straightforward.
Stanzi Potenza. Kristin.
When is this coming out?
The 25th of March,
Okay, then
just outside Chicago.
you can find me at KristinCherico.com. Also on Instagram, it's Kristin Cherico. I'm still on Twitter. I don't know for how much longer. I don't know why I do that to myself. It's don't follow me on Twitter. Don't encourage me. But everywhere else, encourage me there.
But you love it. It's just it's funny.
I
There's a lot of good
I
writing. It's
spent so
mean.
much time building it, and now I gotta throw it away.
We all talk about Twitter like it's like cigarettes.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is
I
like
know.
cigarettes.
I gotta stop.
I gotta fucking
Yeah, and everyone
stop.
else is like people on Threads. It's like using vapes. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna fuck you up too. We just haven't found out yet how.
I don't think I could go on Threads without seeing a thread about something that happened to someone on a flight that was bad. Every thread is about like, I had a bad experience on a plane. I'm just like, I don't know why I'm being fed these things. Is there anything else on Threads?
Well, that's the thing. So have you ever used the internet where you can't help yourself? You go, Delta fucked me over so bad, I gotta complain about
Yeah.
Delta, and you go, this is the worst thing, but it's the only way. But you're saying like also like the FedEx plane had a fire on the
Basically,
engine.
every time I go on Threads, it's like, did you know something bad happened plane-wise? And I'm like, I don't want to know.
Well, someone posted a conspiracy. They said I'm convinced planes haven't gotten any worse. It's just now the news is reporting on every single one. And like normally that FedEx
Maybe.
fire, it landed safely, it wouldn't be reported on, and it's that kind of stuff where I go, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's a crazy conspiracy theory or if it's completely real, and I have no means to find that out
Yeah.
other than if I ask someone in aviation, and I'm not.
No.
And this join the KKK. I mean, like, I need more friends, and maybe I can change him. Maybe I can change him.
I can fix him.
I can fix him.
Are you plugging your podcast yet?
Oh,
Tell people about your podcast on the podcast.
actually, we can. I guess I'll plug my podcast. So
I thought about it earlier today. I was
Yeah.
like, you got to plug it.
Oh, we'll plug it. Okay. So my business partner, Jen Ruggiero, which if you know who I am, you know who Jen is. We are starting a podcast. It's called Losing Followers. It's about it's a great title. Like I didn't come up with it, so I can say that.
I do like it.
Yeah. But we're starting a podcast at the end of this month, so we will now be podcasting too, in addition to also being YouTubers. So yeah, I mean, now I actually have to announce it because this is coming out March 25th.
Ooh.
We shot our first
That
episode
she-
today.
They sent me. They said tell her to talk about the podcast, so we have to do it.
We have to. Thank you for holding my feet to the fire.
I love that title. The more I think about it, the more I go like it's there's to have a negative spin is more interesting. You go like, ooh, losing followers. I don't know. It has a good bite
it's a
to it.
podcast about being a content creator in a world where everyone is forced to be a content creator, and how it sucks.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we shot our first episode today, literally today.
Wow.
So
It really is crazy. It's like I've gone to a couple things. I mean, you both of you. I think both of you have probably interacted with the world more than I have of like the content creator community. I mean, you literally like in a way.
like the
What did
world
you
in
think I
general?
was? What?
the
of
world,
what?
I thought you meant like the world in general.
You said the world space.
I live
and
here.
I was
I've
like-
never left the studio in my whole life. No, I mean, just like I just think about how we, actors at the Oscars, which happened the day before we recorded this. It's like they're part of a community that's loose and they have different struggles. But they, when some app shut down, when Twitter became X, we have a relationship with that. How it affected our businesses sometimes, and it's like there's just a community in that. Can be tough though. Sometimes they can be very flat conversations. When I have a comedian who says like, I mean the worst is like, so like how does TikTok, like how do you make it work? I go, this conversation makes this not interesting.
No, it's not.
It's not fun. We could have a more interesting conversation about like how did we maintain who we were as we put it into clips, but how? I go.
The how is not
Yeah.
interesting. I think the emotional fallout is significantly more interesting, in my opinion.
What friendships no longer are there because
Oh.
of yeah.
Yeah.
That's the conversation.
Like friendships that are created
Yeah.
because of social media that like don't exist when they no longer serve a purpose socially.
If you made one of your best friends your podcast co-host, and you feel the spark is leaving, what do you do?
I mean, you'll
And,
talk to
and
Russell.
if you know
about
that. What's so good is like sometimes I'll leave a little Easter egg for him, and I'm like, he doesn't listen to the episodes. He's not on.
I do that with my dad in YouTube videos. It's like I can say whatever about him because he's never going to listen to this.
What if one day he went down a rabbit hole and was just like called you and said, "We have 20 different things to talk about."
He doesn't have enough time left on Earth for him to go for him to watch every single thing I've ever made.
That's incredible. The doctor's saying, "How many days do I have to live, doc?" Less than the amount of content your daughter has put out on YouTube. You're gonna have to find a playlist of the best ones.
It's mean.
You should pay for skippable ads also.
Yeah. It's bad news. On top of the insurance, you got to sign up for YouTube Premium.
It's coming out of my inheritance.
For me, oh my God, this is coming out towards the end of March. I didn't look it up. Join the Patreon again, patreon.com/downside. You can support the show. And we do 2 episodes extra every month, and then also footage of our live shows. I am going to be in St. Louis, Missouri this weekend. Next weekend, I am in Dayton, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. Weekend after that, I got a run in South Carolina, North Carolina. Check it all out. Join the Patreon. And I think the episode before this, Russell will be there. Russell will be back soon. We love you guys. And let me just thank you, Stanzi, and Kristin. Thank you.
Yeah.
You are one of the best audience members a guy can have. And I feel seen. Honestly, you saying that, I go, oh my God, to feel seen is to feel appreciated. And I thank you for being here a second time.
Thank you.
This is The Downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.